Hello everyone and welcome in. And well, we're ready to start off a brand new series, and as these films in the background show, it's going to be the JSU 152, and my goodness, what a beast of a machine this is. This model is also going to be set in Berlin, so the Battle of Berlin is going to be almost a companion piece to the T-34-85 that we did just a few series ago, and I'll put a link to that in the upper corner here so you can check that out if you'd like. It's different setting, of course, different feel to it, but again, Battle of Berlin, 1945. And so over the course of this project, we'll do all the basic construction, the painting, and then we'll also put together a diorama with a small scene and a few figures. Well, to start off with, yep, it's the unboxing. Here we have the Tamiya kit, and it's a really nice kit. I think the release date on this was 2009, so it's a fairly new tool, I guess you would say, 10 years old, well, 12 years old. But the detailing on it is really, really nice. So appreciate that. Look through quickly on the instructions. Not a lot of surprises there, of course. This is going to be more or less an out-of-the-box build. We'll take care of a few details here and there. Got the rubber band tracks, which I do not think I'll be using, but I will be using the Lincoln length tracks here. And so we'll see what we could do with those and see what else we can find. Well, this is going to be, like I said, the construction video, and so we're just going to go ahead and get started. First thing, of course, is the road wheels, as is the case in most every armored build. Well, this project is going to be a little bit different, not a lot, but generally I don't show a lot of the construction steps in these videos. I just kind of figured, well, people know how to glue parts together, but I've gotten some feedback. I have some feedback over the course of the last little while here, and seems that there will be a little bit of interest and appreciation of just showing a little bit more of the construction details, especially some of the younger or newer modelers to our hobby. They're looking for just, a little bit of insights to a few tricks or tips, or, just watching someone else do something that they are confronted with and just knowing how to get past a certain step in their progress. And so, like I said, we'll take it just a little slower here. The detail on these parts is actually very nice. It's got a really nice cast texture to these parts. We'll fix that a little bit. I've added the tow hooks on these, and I'm just going to put a few weld beads around those, and then these little tie-down ring brackets here on the back. Oh, yep, I dropped things just like everybody else. I'm going to drill those out so I can replace the rings with a little bit of wire, and then I'm just going to scuff up the side here. Let's make this thing look just ratty as can be. A lot of texture from this cast metal. So my Dremel tool is in the other room and I didn't want to get it out, so I'm just going to use the drill bit and then adding a few weld beads here and there. This is just using the styrene, just a little bit of softening with the liquid cement, and then just tapping it down with the tip of my hobby knife, and that's going to be good enough for the time being. Now, it's true that running the drill bit across the surface really dinged up the texture of the surface, but this will unify a little bit of Mr. Surfacer 500, just dabbing it on, just adding a little bit more of that cast texture, returning a little bit back and blending those in a little bit. And this will just give it this model a bit more of an aggressive feel. Something, it's one of those easy tricks you can do just to kind of give your own model a little bit of personality. And like I said, this will be a more or less out-of-the-box build, but I do look for areas where I can just add a little bit of extra finesse. So a few of these molded-on surface details, brackets here and there, I'm just going to replace with a little bit of photo etch. And this photo etch is just coming from my spare parts box. So again, hang on to your old photo etch, and then if you find something that looks pretty close, well, that's good enough for me to add that. Just adds a little bit, like I said, a little bit more finesse and a little bit of detail to the model. The grab handles are another area where you can add a little bit of, like I said, a little detail, a little bit of finesse. The kit parts here are absolutely just fine, so if you don't feel like doing this, no need to, but a little bit of wire. This is 20 thousandths wire, and using the grab handler here, so you get the proper dimension there, and you just bend it around, and then cut it with the pliers, and then you have some new handles. Of course, I've drilled a couple of holes for the wire to be inserted into the side of the hole there, and then I just place those through those little holes that I've pre-drilled, and it slips right in there. Come on, there we go. Slips right in there, and then I use a little bit of plastic, and this becomes a spacer, so all of the grab handles are the same distance from the hole. And then on the reverse side, or on the inside of the hole, just a little bit of super glue just to hold the wire in place, and a few taps here and there just to make sure the wire is set, the grab handles look set. And then on the facing side, I found if you just use a little bit of CA glue just right where the holes are, just a drop here and there, it kind of gives you that weld appearance, like if the wire or the handles are welded onto the surface. Really easy trick. Well, a kit built out of the box doesn't mean without alterations, and we're going to go ahead and take off some of these fenders here. And this is not, we've talked about this before, this is not as scary as it looks. I've got a brand new blade, so it's a nice sharp blade, and it just takes a few scores along the edge there. Just, you're not trying to cut it off in one stroke or even two strokes. Just run the blade back and forth a few times, and then once you score down at least halfway, then it's just a matter of just kind of snapping it off. Of course, a little bit of cleanup. Got a sanding stick. I'm just going to clean up a little bit of that excess plastic that was left over from where the fender was removed. And a little bit of extra cleanup here with the knife blade as well, just to scrape off that little bit of excess that I can't quite get with the sanding stick. And then once that's all taken care of, all the extra plastic has been removed, then it's just a little bit of extra surfacer goes right back on there. I'm just using Tamiya putty at this point with a toothpick, just kind of rubbing that on. This is one of the benefits of having this rough cast texture is the cleanup and the camouflage and the hiding of these little bits of cutting here and there is made very easy. Well, this is a good time to take just a brief moment to take a look at kind of where my reference and inspiration is coming from, and it's from this photograph right here. And so as you can see, this is a very well used, battered, and stained JSU 152 in the Battle of Berlin. And what's even more interesting about that, and we'll get into this a little bit later, if you take a look at the gun barrel, this actually has been knocked out, this particular vehicle. So we'll get into that a little bit later as well. In the meantime, if you do like this channel, please hit that like and subscribe button. It does help so very, very much, and I do appreciate that. If you'd like to have more content like this and other types of tutorials and photographs of projects as they're ongoing and early release videos, I do have a Patreon page, and the link for that is below. So I would hope that maybe you come over and check that out. We also have a Discord server where we have some chats going on there as well. So anyway, let's get back to this. So this is the reference photograph or the inspiration photograph that the whole diorama, the whole scene is going to be kind of based loosely around. I'm following the photograph sort of closely in the painting as we get closer to that, but the scene's going to change a little bit. Well, oftentimes I would use a photo etch set, especially for the fenders, because I do like the look of the photo etch because you could, well, bend real metal fenders just like real metal fenders. But in this case, we're going to take, like I said, there's going to be more or less a kit out of the box sort of a build. So you can still get a little bit of that waviness and that little bit of distress on the fenders. And here I'm using flat pliers, so there's no any sort of ridges on the plier face themselves, and just kind of squeezing and crimping and giving slight twists. And once it's painted up, it gives a real nice representation of distressed metal. Let's put it that way. Distressed fenders, a little bit of the sheet metal that's twisted and such. And then I also take a little bit of time along the edges just to thin out the edges so it's a little bit more realistic of an appearance. As mentioned earlier, I take a little bit of time just to add a few extra details or replace a few details, some of the surface details that are molded on. The toe shackle hook things on the back here, just made from a little bit of wire, add a few weld beads here and there. A few extra photo etch parts, again, from my spare parts box. These will be just some of the tool holder brackets, so just kind of placing those in place. And then this is kind of interesting. This is from the reference photograph, and you can see where the brackets for the auxiliary fuel tanks have all been kind of bent backwards. So I want to kind of replicate that idea on this as well. I think these are the kind of small details that kind of give individuality and personality to kits, even if they are, like I said, more or less an out-of-the-box kit. So the first thing I want to do is there are some bracket holes on the side of the hole here, the rear of the hole, that I want to plug up. So I want to fill those up. A little bit of styrene just kind of shoved into the holes in there, and then just glue them in place, and then just scribe them back so I've got a nice flush surface. And then the brackets themselves, well, I need to have those kind of, like I said, bent at an angle. So I'm literally just kind of carving in a little bit of an angle onto those just so that they sit flush and I can glue them onto the side of the hole. Super simple technique. And then I'll come back with a few weld beads along each one of those just to make sure that they look like they're part of the vehicle itself. Moving right along, the main gun, this kit actually goes together really, really quick. So even with all these little extra details here, adding surface details and changing a few things here and there, this is not a very long project and can certainly be done in a day if one wanted to. Well, next up, let's tackle those tracks. And again, these are the link and length tracks from the kit. And this is a matter of snipping those off. And Tamiya's done a really good job with these. These fit together really, really nicely. And as long as you just pay attention, there's an A and a B, so a number 1 and a number 2, and they alternate. You pay attention to how many links go between the longer straight sections, and it all goes together really, really nicely. And then just a touch of glue. And then once that dries, and it's almost cured, but you still got some flexibility, it's a little bit pliable still, but they hold together, then I can just thread them onto the running gear and start to work on fixing the sag and making sure everything looks the way it's supposed to look. And with that, we have blazed through this construction, and yep, like I said, this is a very quick model to put together. That's one of the nice things about using the Tamiya kits. There's not a lot of extra parts and a lot of over-engineering, as it's called, but it does allow, the kits do allow for some extra detailing, like we've done here a little bit, adding a few bit surface details here and there. But what's most important is that now we have a wonderful platform from which to continue our work with the paint work and then build up our diorama. And so now I guess it's time to pull the curtain shut. So we'll conclude this episode. Next episode, of course, we'll tackle the painting. So we'll start with the primer, we'll do some pre-shading, we'll lay the base coats, and then I'm going to do quite a bit of work with oils, and we'll spend quite a bit of time showing the oil painting process as I start to weather this vehicle. Again, if you like this channel, please hit that like and subscribe. If you'd like to support this channel even further and get some extra content, the Patreon link is below. Please consider joining Patreon. Until next time, take care, everybody. We'll talk to you soon, and happy modeling.